yeah, after our tech nightmare on Instagram, complete fail, we are doing a non-live via Zoom to promote Carl Hayden Smith's talk in Abertavy at Walden Arts. Actually have the poster here. Um, yeah, so I'll just say a little bit about Walden Arts. It's a print studio and event space run by my friends Rosie and Spike. Me and Spike have been running these Kindred Spirits events for 2 years now with the likes of Dr. David Luke, the Seed Sisters, Tree Car, Bruce Parry. We've had Rue Calendar and Dr. Andy Letcher. Yeah, they're about giving a platform to people that are working in kind of new, non-mainstream realms, exploring consciousness, deeper connections as human beings, and yeah, how we can be better caretakers of the planet.
So let me intro myself first. So
Yeah.
basically, I'm Carl Hayden Smith. I'm a professor of media over at the University of East London. I'm also the co-founder of the Museum of Consciousness at Oxford University, and yeah, co-founder of the Cyberdelics Nexus. So cyberdelics using technologies to change consciousness. So those technologies have obviously expanded rather a lot. So we're really interested in the mindful use of technology at a time when technology is becoming extremely corrosive to people's, mental health and to their ability to get things, done in their world under their own sovereignty. We're all being hacked. Our consciousness is being hacked. Our attention is being hacked primarily. A lot of people are doom scrolling on their phones mindlessly, and
Mm.
that's, partly their own fault, but also the fault of these huge organizations, these tech companies that are intentionally harvesting our attention. The longer we spend on their platforms, the more monetization of advertising, etc., goes on. So
Yeah.
cyberdelics is really, we're not trying to replace psychedelics. I think we're another tool in the toolbox for changing your consciousness in a mindful way. The
Mm.
advantage cyberdelics have over psychedelics, though, is that they're legal, and they're also something you can remove. So if you're doing a hardcore, LSD trip or something, you're stuck in it. You're really in for the ride. Whereas if you're trying a cyberdelic experience, which can be just as intense, you can take off the headset if you've had enough. You're in control.
More accessible as well for people. Not everyone wants
Yeah.
to try psychedelics.
Yeah, absolutely. They're more accessible. I think one of the things that we're up against, though, is that not everyone's got a VR headset. It's not all about
Mm.
VR, though. So you can any kind of sound experience that changes consciousness. So why I started the Museum of Consciousness at Oxford is that during the pandemic, everyone was like us now on Zoom, looking at themselves in this very narcissistic gaze, and it became very corrosive again to your mental health. It's not a
Mm.
natural gaze to be looking at yourself all the time, and
No.
and so the antidote to that was to come into a venue for 5 hours, to go into your own imaginations whilst closing your eyes, typically to really listen to the sound, not really knowing what you're going to get. But it's like cooking with sound. So I'll have five different artists that I've scouted out at different festivals over the summers. And so it can be very famous people or it can be complete unknowns, and everyone gets
Mm.
this sort of level playing field to
And you're
transmit.
doing one of these in Oxford, aren't you, on Sunday?
Yeah, that's right. So it's yeah, we've done shows all over the world. We do them regularly in Berlin, in New York, in London, and mostly in Oxford.
Mm.
And yeah, it's really taken off as a platform, but it's also a research project. So we're trying to really understand the science of sound. One of the artists we're featuring on Sunday, Tritha, she tells me that in India in the 10th century, they'd already found specific sounds and frequencies to heal specific organs
Mm.
in the 10th century. So
Yeah.
what's
I was
happening to that?
wondering,
Yeah.
because it's how much of this sort of modern tech cyberdelic stuff is just mimicking an ancient technology that we've always used, and
Mm.
kind of it's kind of exciting really because we do have like this amazing advancement in technology now, and to kind of use that in a sacred way is
Yeah,
something
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, you've nailed it. I mean, it's really that combination of the ancient knowledge and the future tech. You know, I've been a cognitive scientist for 30 years, really looking at the impact of technology on learning. How does it help us learn, or does it make us more stupid? Most technologies, unfortunately, create a sort of convenience, sort of addiction. You know, we're
Mm.
very much
And
linked.
outsourcing.
Yeah, that's a critical word, and this is what I'm trying to really frame. Hyperhumanism is the fight against outsourcing. So transhumanism is like, yeah, let's outsource everything. Let's just become robots and cyborgs. Whereas
Mm.
hyperhuman is this idea that we have all of this innate ability, all of this innate technology
Yeah.
that
My dog's here.
is internal to the human system. And
Mm.
unfortunately, we've atrophied a lot of that ability, that analog ability, with poorly designed technology. So if we think about the
Mm.
mobile phone, we're kind of all transhuman because we've got mobile phones. And when you lose your phone, you realize how dependent you are on it for functioning.
Yes.
And so we've
Almost
done,
like you don't have your phone with you. It's like you've lost a limb these days.
yeah,
It
exactly.
feels like you're missing something. But
Yeah,
also, I really do like the idea of like, I mean, yeah, this it's like a kind of I see the internet as like a mycelial network and how amazing it is that we can connect with so many people, like
yeah,
doing these Zoom things and attempting Insta lives, um, just to kind of share and spread positive
yeah,
messages. Because we are, yeah, we're in a kind of really interesting place
yeah.
where humanity is being questioned. Like, what does that actually mean to us
Mm,
now? Is
mm,
it's like I looked up what humanity meant in the dictionary, and it's like the potential for humans to be creative, to feel love and show love, and
wow.
yeah, and have compassion. And it seems like we are in like the shadow aspect of that, which would be, you know, the opposites of love is hate, opposite of compassion is insensitivity, and then the opposite of creation is destruction, and that's kind of like yeah where we're at, and just seeing how people are reacting to this election in America as well, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a fork in the road with humanity. We either, wholesale go into this transhumanist agenda, which is represented by people like Elon Musk with Neuralink, which is like getting your technology, your mobile phone, as we've already discussed, and then putting it in the brain, like with Neuralink. I mean,
Yeah,
I want to create distance from my phone, which is why I've actually started adopting barriers to entry. So when you've got a smash screen like I have on my phone, I
yeah,
realized that I have locked in syndrome when I can't access the screen. I can't get into the data. So
yeah.
you're kind of screwed. And then somebody told me, no, you can plug a dongle. So this is a
Mm,
USB-C for Android into a mouse. Then that
mm.
goes into my phone, and then I can actually create a barrier to entry. So I have to actually use this device, which is clunky. So
Yeah,
it's like the opposite of Neuralink. So instead of it going closer to my brain, it's going
yeah,
further away. And I've separated my hand from my phone. And now
yeah,
I can have good posture because I can hold my phone here. I don't need to touch it. I can control it from down here. And
yeah.
so I don't get that lump on the back of my neck because everyone's
Yes.
like looking down and your head's heavy, right? So your head's heavy.
Oh
And
God.
so this is like now catching on as a behavior because it's like the hyperhuman version of using this technology.
Mm,
So it's very much about how do we get our analog abilities back? And now I've got rid of my RSI because I don't touch the screen like this anymore. So
mm,
I use a different set of muscles.
mm.
Now I'm just interacting with this globe, which is a completely different set of muscles in my arm.
Yeah,
You know, loads of people I know are freezing up because they're becoming cyborgs. They're becoming,
yeah. But
robots.
they don't know why they've got constant neck ache.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So it's about looking at these.
migraine, or also
Yeah,
dizziness.
yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
a major one
I mean,
because you you
You're
talk
lucky.
about like, losing your sense of depth, your depth perception, and
Yeah, your depth perception. If you're constantly at a fixed distance with your phone,
mm,
you don't you get myopia because you're not practicing depth.
mm,
That's why a lot of young school kids, I mean, there was a famous story that they were taken to the Amazon and they couldn't see into the Amazon because they didn't have that depth perception because they're all just so fixed on their phones at this fixed
yeah,
distance. But yeah, it's not just that. We are school kids. What would you rather lose, your sense of smell or your sense of taste? And they
Mm.
all chose to lose their sense of, oh, sorry, that lose their sense of smell or their smartphones. And guess what they chose? They all chose to lose their sense of smell.
No way.
And when you lose your sense of smell, you soon lose your sense of taste, and then your sense of reality starts to follow.
What
So
was that a sort of questionnaire then or
yeah,
something?
it was a big sort of, it came up, as a huge viral thing that went viral. It's like this is what we're facing, and I think there is a backlash. I think that depending on what sort of age group you're asking, now you've got the alphas
Mm.
following the Gen Zers, and the alphas are sort of realizing the impact of this technology on their sort of peer group, and have decided to dumb down to smartphones rather than lose their sense of smell, or like really create distance from that ability to constantly be connected. Means you're constantly connected to the digital realm, but not at all to the real world.
Mm. Yeah, because yeah, I'm not sure we were even before the phones. We were at a place where we were fully connecting anyway.
No, I think that there's certainly good things about technology. Like you say, it connects us to each other. If you're
Mm.
in an emergency situation, you can save your life by calling out 999 from wherever you are. But
Yeah.
I think the fundamental thing is that we are more disconnected from nature than ever before. Certainly when we were growing up, we were
Mm.
playing outside with our friends. We were like,
Yeah.
getting dirty, like falling over, playing, cycling around. Now I think it's
Yeah.
much less of that. There's much more fear
Mm.
around letting kids out, and rightly so. But I think the big problem is parents put their kids in front of iPads just to get some space for themselves, and you can
Yeah.
understand the mechanism, but it's creating this kind of, yeah, very unnatural gaze, this unnatural way
Mm.
of relating to the world, and they're not relating to each other because they're constantly, stuck on screens.
Yeah. Yes. So you'll be talking about this stuff when you come to Wales.
That's right. Yeah. So I'll be talking about this idea of hyperhumanism and how we really are like incredible, intelligent beings, and we may have not really even scratched the surface of our abilities. We talk about having five senses, where in fact we've probably got 30 senses, and how
Mm.
many of us are using those senses? How many of us are really, understanding the power of breath work or meditation, or these endo technologies, these technologies that don't need any external electronics, but actually can be done internally. And I think
Mm.
that hyperhumanism is something that people are looking for an alternative to this transhuman agenda.
Yeah.
And it's gaining a lot of traction. So I'll talk a lot about that. I'll also talk about cyberdelics. And I'll mention psychedelics as well, and all the work that I've done with Imperial, being a participant on their trials,
Yeah.
DMT trials, having my brain scanned whilst being injected with DMT, and all the results of that in terms of what it looks like consciousness is from that perspective. So it's been a real honor to be part of that study. And also, yeah,
I
just
think.
nature connection. How do we make sure that we are, being human beings, not just human doings? Most of
Mm.
us are caught up in this productivity cult where it's like we constantly have to do stuff, otherwise we're just
Mm.
considered useless. Whereas the
Yeah.
real trick is to actually like sit in your human being and your sensation in your felt experience, and really slow down and be in your body, because I think one of the things that really is an opportunity now with AI rising is that it will take over a lot of our cognition. It will take over a lot of our intellectual um
Already is. It's already
yeah,
here.
yeah, it's already here. But what that means is that we will have our bodies. The things that AI can never replace are the body. It is the body
Mm.
that we'll come back to, and we will
Mm.
have more time to dance and to be together. And I think this
Mm.
is the huge win. People are fearing AI, but they don't realize that it will free up time from the mundane bullshit jobs that we didn't want to do in the first place anyway.
Mm.
So that's for me, it's like, yeah, of course it's going to be. I mean, I'm teaching kids now. My students are questioning, what is a safe career? Well, unfortunately, law, computer programming, mathematicians, physicists, a lot of this stuff will just be done by AI. And the things that you thought were safe aren't so safe. So
Mm,
maybe being a hairdresser, being a butcher, or, these things that were considered, menial jobs will actually be elevated because they can't be done by machines. So
mm,
it's a very interesting time to question our humanity, our future roles. There
mm,
was a brilliant meme. It was like, I want AI to do the washing up so that I can focus on writing and doing my art and doing my
mm,
creativity. We need to be careful what it is we're giving the AI to do. Do we want the AI to be our poet, our artist, our musician? I don't think we do.
mm,
I think we want to maintain those roles for ourselves. So let's be careful about what we give up in our humanity, what we actually maintain, what we think is important for us to do. And of course, we can use these machines and technologies as an assistant, but they shouldn't be the primary. We maintain mastery; they remain our servant, not the other way around.
mm. Interesting. It's definitely going to be an interesting Q&A.
Indeed.
Um, Great. So should we wrap up? And
Let's do that. Let's
I
do that.
look forward to meeting you properly on the
Yeah,
15th of November at Walden Arts in
not long.
Abertay.
Looking forward. Thank you so
Yeah.
much,
Get
Erin.
your tickets online at the Walden Arts website.